Gentlemen, Abhi, there are just first food for things, not to worry about it. And I'll also be discussing April and May back. Okay, I just forgot, as promised, that before the lecture I will be sending you the thing. But I promise you, after this lecture, you will get. And so we will keep that for lecture one discussion, the notes that we have got. Coming to the background, coming to the background, it is important to understand that why do we have a merchant shipping? Because that is a very common question in your forums that India has signed for so many conventions at IMO and the two conventions at ILO, uh, Maritime Labor Convention and your Seafarers Identity Document Convention. So why do we have a merchant shipping act? Not only to help you understand and answer that question, it will help you understand that how what we did the implied warranty, legality of every passage, it will immediately be able to join, help you join the dots that how a ship is always making a legal passage and what is your responsibility as a senior. Now, so for that, I will be doing, drawing something and explaining. Now, let me just check if I already have. Give me a moment. I may have that slide. No, that's not the case. So let's do it live. Just a case, I forgot. You can see the black slide.
Yes, I can see.
Yes, sir, we can.
Thank you. You would have heard about United Nations. Head office, New York. You have to get used to using the correct terminology. We don't say UN has got so many offices or bodies or different bodies. No, we call them specialized agencies. So there are 24 specialized agencies of UN, each designed to do specific work. Like you have UNICEF, you have UNESCO, and in the past 1 year, there is so much of, you know, uh, of what happened to this? Yeah, to World Health Organization. They are all called specialized agents. Now, there are two specialized agencies of United Nations which deal with the global shipping industry and the global seafarer. Dealing with the global shipping industry is IMO, International Maritime Organization, headquarters London, and International Labour Organization with its headquarters at Geneva. IMO has developed its own set of conventions, SOLAS, MARPOL, STCW, and there are about 48 of them. ILO has developed the latest Maritime Labour Convention and the Seafarers Identity Document Convention. What does the convention set? Any of the convention, they set the basic minimum standard to be followed. And it is required by law. Now, you would have heard of the phrase that a country has gone and signed for a convention. How do you do this? Sorry, I just tried to uh, do it properly. What is it? How did this come? Let's put it this way. You would have heard that a country has gone and signed for a convention. Always remember a country signs for a convention at the international level, that is at IMO or ILO. And I'll also share, sometimes there is a question that, pertaining to this, which I'm coming. These things are very important to understand what's for what. Because I'm drawing side by side, so you may wonder that we're getting a break. So I will be running through to make it in a logical sequence. And signature to a convention does not mean that, let's say at IMO, there is some register lying there with some office of the Secretary General and some country representative goes and puts the sign on. Let's say India, as soon as it's being developed, India decides that, okay, it's in India's national interest to follow SOLAS after the discussion within the country with Secretary Shipping, DG Shipping, Nautical Advisor, surveyors, Chief Surveyors, Engineering surveyors, all those people, they said, fine. This is done at the Cabinet Committee level, where there will be a representative from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in India. Once it is decided, then Ministry of Foreign Affairs prepares a letter, official letter, with a very diplomatic language, which normally begins with that the government of the Republic of India presents its best compliments to the Secretary General of International Maritime Organization, and we care to put a signature to the SOLAS Convention, something and assuring the International Maritime Organization of complete and full cooperation at all times, etc. And somebody will sign that. In a sealed envelope, the Foreign Ministry will send that letter to the Indian Embassy in London. Either the High Commissioner, that is the Ambassador of India to England and the Indian Embassy in London, somebody else designated by him, they will seek an appointment with the Secretary General's office. Person will go there. With that sealed envelope, there will be an official press photographer of IMO. Inside the Secretary General's office, there will be the IMO flag and Indian flag, and each person will stand in front of them and he will hand over that letter to the Secretary General, conveying India has signed for the convention. That is the practical process. The question is what if? I don't think that I am digressing. I am leading to why do we have the Merchant Shipping Act, the background, because that is what is asked of us. So, the question now comes, what does a country signing for a convention mean? It means two things only. Number one, that the country supports the convention for the good of global shipping industry. Number one. And number two, which is important, that the country takes a moral obligation to practically implement the requirements of the convention within the country's territory. So the important point is the member countries send their representative for the discussion, etc. at IMO. The convention is developed, etc. But it is the responsibility of individual country to implement the convention. IMO does not ensure the implementation of the convention. Why? Because the sovereignty of the country is supreme. Any country, whether it's a small country like Maldives or Fiji, or a big country like Canada or Brazil or America, they are sovereign, independent republics that they say that, okay, we will implement it, it's a voluntary decision. No, we don't want to do it. Thank you very much. It's again a voluntary decision. So the second element of the country signing for a convention is that we are taking a moral obligation, responsibility. We will, in future, coming months or years, we will practically implement the requirements of the entire convention within our country's territory. Now, coming to the important point, country's territory includes four elements. The land part, of course, we are aware of that. The sea part, up to 12 nautical miles, which we call the territorial sea, and also the national waters of that coastal country. Number three, airspace we don't deal with. Number four, the most important thing for you and me, the ships registered in the country. They are part of the country's territory. And we always fly the flag of the country on the country's territory. Therefore, wherever the ship is registered, we always fly the flag of that country at the stern when the ship is at port. Therefore, that country becomes to be known as the flag country or the flag state because it is part of the territory of that country. Okay, it's got a propeller, it's mobile. But it is so serious a matter if somebody attacks the ship where the ship is registered, that country can declare a war because its country, its part of the territory has been attacked, and every country has got the right to protect the territory from any harm. I've seen that film, Captain Phillips. I always quote this because that helps me to easily explain to everyone. You see that film, Captain Phillips?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, अपना good old Buddha है, Tom Hanks, whether it is Sully or whether it is he's the chosen captain. Anyway, why would America justify in sending their naval commando on the seas to rescue the ship? Because the ship was registered, I think, in Virginia. It was an American territory which was attacked in international waters. They have the right to protect their territory. They caught one pirate live. वो तो lifeboat में था, but you remember, on the bows of the lifeboat, the name of the ship and the port of registry is written. Because the lifeboat happens to be in the water does not mean that it ceases to be part of the territory. It has become a loose end. No. The part and parcel of the territory, as per law is concerned, continues. So they caught one guy, pirate, live. So whether they caught that pirate live on board the ship, Musk, Alabama, or they would have caught that guy live on one of the streets of New York or Washington or wherever, it is the same thing. You have attacked our territory, you have been caught on our territory, and you will be therefore punished as per our law. Then I will take it to America to support. This incident, I think, happened in April 2009. Sometime in February 2010, the judge gave him 35 years imprisonment. He's rotting in jail. The importance, what I want to highlight is the ship is part of the territory of the country where she's registered. So therefore, when the ship is in international waters, April and May back, I'll be doing the law of the sea and territorial sea and international waters. I'll spend time. It may have sounded a bit repetitive for the march back, but again, no authority in the world can board the ship in international waters, which is beyond 12 nautical miles, without the written consent of the government of the flag state where the ship is registered. Be very clear on that. I'll come to that. I've already done this to some extent in the March part. Similarly, I'll do it with you guys April and May back next week onward. So coming back to it, when the country takes a moral obligation to implement the requirements of the convention within the country's territory, obviously, because this is dealing with the maritime requirement, law requirement. So, in the applicable part of the territory, this will be implemented by the government of that country who put the signature on the convention. Right? Government of India will not give solos to income tax department to implement. Now, उनका क्या लेना देना? It is applicable to part of the India's territory, which is the ships registered in India, SCI ships, Great Eastern ships, SR ships, whatever. Are you with me till here?
Yes, sir.
Now, once the country has signed for the convention, country starts the practical implementation process. That can take some time. So some countries can take maybe 1 year, other countries can take 4 years. No questions asked. There is no fixed limit. You are a sovereign country, you have taken a moral obligation, you will do it. But the most important point, now we are coming to close why we have the Merchant Shipping Act. For any country, the first step in practical implementation of the convention is to convert the requirements of the convention into its national law. ये पहला स्टेप होता है for any company. So this answers the question that India has signed so many conventions of IMO and also ILO. Why do we require a Merchant Shipping Act? So, because for any country, after signing for the convention, the first step in the practical implementation of the convention is to convert the requirements of the convention into the country's national law. And in case of India, the national law dealing with the Indian shipping industry is the Merchant Shipping Act. Therefore, we have the Merchant Shipping Act. Are we clear on this?
Yes, sir.
And let me
Sir,
tell
you
you,
repeat, please.
okay, writer, for any country after, all of you can note it down, for any country after signing for a convention, the first step in the practical implementation process is to convert the requirements of the convention into
So please repeat last
Yeah.
line.
is to convert the requirements of the convention to convert the requirements of the convention into the country's national law, and in case of India, and in case of India, the national law dealing with the national law dealing with the Indian shipping industry is the Merchant Shipping Act. Therefore, we have the Merchant Shipping Act.
Sir, I had a question.
Right?
Sir, in case a member state of the IMO it doesn't want to sign any of its convention, so as you say, it's voluntary. So no, I think nobody can force them to sign it.
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
But
Just
I'll
wanted
come to that. I have all these perfect questions, but these are very important elements of the discussion that we are having today and tomorrow. That a ship is registered in a country, and the country has not signed for a convention. Obviously, on its territory, which is the ship registered there, it will not be followed. Now, that ship goes to a country's port who has the convention part of its law. Tab kya hota hai? I'll be coming to that. We need to be very clear on all this. So, as part of MSA, we have STCW rules, we have uh, safety construction rules, LSA rules, FFA rules, so we have MLC rules, so many. The point is, don't ever think, just to tell you, because sometimes the surveyors, they confuse you, you know. We have to be on top of it. We are going to be very smart mates, and I can assure you. Every time the amendment happens to Merchant Shipping Act, it does not require to be passed by both houses of parliament. No, that was done in 1958. The Merchant Shipping Act पहली बार बना था, so it was discussed in Lok Sabha, discussed in Rajya Sabha, passed there, sent to the president, signed, it became a law. As part of MSA, I don't remember the section and we don't have to get into that. The designated government body was created by law of Merchant Shipping Act, included, written down in Merchant Shipping Act, which will have the powers to implement the Merchant Shipping Act. That body is called the Directorate General of Shipping, person in charge, Director General of Shipping. So thereafter, the amendments can be done by a DGS order. You don't have to send it to Parliament. We don't get into that, but you just have to be aware of that. Now, सबसे पहले जब ये हो गया तो फिर बाकी infrastructure development, whatever may be required for implementing the convention, the government of any country, they may have to hire some new surveyors, engineering or nautical survey, or they may decide, like, we already have the surveyors, but we will send them for specialized training to ensure that they understand the implementation of this convention by conducting the survey. We will create the new certificates to be issued. We will develop the computer database system, the quality system, so that audits are done. That can take time. So this is all the part of practical implementation of the convention by the government of the country who has signed this. This is the first step. And practical implementation of the convention by any country is called ratification. Therefore, if signature was done at international level by the country, ratification is always done at the national level by the country. So you will appreciate that there will always be a time gap for any country between signature and ratification. में पहली बार तो पहली जनवरी 2021 में साइन किया, ठीक है भाई, we ratified on 10th October 2022, तो इतना टाइम लग गया. So there can be a status country signed but not yet ratified कि भाई practical implementation process complete नहीं हुआ. दूसरा status होगा so country has signed and ratified the convention. Are we 100% clear on this?
Yes, sir. Sir, I
Yes,
have
sir.
one question.
Please go ahead.
So like, okay, there was a convention, so last Marpol, STCW, etc. So like, how much majority in the world it is required before it become a convention?
I will come to that. That's a separate issue. I will answer your question, but up till now you have understood. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Till now it's understood.
Okay. Now, for that, I will, what did I say? Sorry. To answer your question, I'll use the same format in a new slide. Now we are dealing how a convention is made. Simple step. That will answer your question that how, what majority is required. Pehli baat, any idea how many countries are there in the world? Right. We are friends.
Sir, roughly around two.
Yeah, very good. Very close. Roughly around 200. I will use the UN figures. There are 194 countries in the world. Why did I say UN figures? Because China says Taiwan is not a country, so that is country -1. UN recognizes Taiwan as a country, so +1. So we focus on the UN figure, 194 countries in the world. Out of 194 countries in the world, 193 countries are members of UN. One country which is not a member of United Nations is Vatican, where the Pope sits. You heard about that country, right? The city of Rome.
Yes, sir. The smallest country.
Wall, that
Is
takes 60 feet
Vatican
high
City, right?
wall. 60 feet high. Well, you have to cross the wall. You need a visa for that. And there is a Vatican embassy in Delhi. कभी समझ नहीं आया. Anyway, why they are not members? उनके अपने कार्य हो सकते हैं. But I can put कि भाई we are the religious head of whole Christianity. We don't have political alliances or anything. We have got nothing to do. We are poor. I mean, that's the reason Ramdev will never get a visa there. He's a spiritual guru with political alliances. So I think, anyway, jokes apart. Other than that, every country of the world, they are members of United Nations. And out of 194 countries, 173 countries are members of IMO. That is the maritime involvement of the world. It's such an important industry. You may say, sir, what about the 20 countries? Those are those landlocked countries like Mongolia, Nepal. उन लोग का क्या लेना देना है पानी? Landlocked country. Uzbekistan or Armenian, वो अंदर बैठे हुए, they have bilateral treaties कि भैया अपना जहाज में अपना हमारा माल यहाँ भिजवा देना, पर आपको वहाँ पे क्या करना. So 173 countries are members of IMO. Now, यार ये क्या हो जाता है? Okay. Now the point is, the first step in the development of a convention is a member country has to raise an issue for discussion at the applicable committees. There are different committees: Maritime Safety Committee, Maritime Marine Environment Protection Committee, Legal Committee, the Facilitation Committee. There are different committees. At the proper, they all meet at different times at the headquarters in London. I have attended quite a few meetings there. To give you an example, the issue to have the ballast water management convention was raised by Australia. They were feeling the environmental degradation, marine environmental degradation. If they wanted, they could have gone like America. Right? My country, my waters, this is our law. You want here, you follow this, otherwise don't come here. वो कोई तरीका थोड़ा है in international way to handle things. When there is a proper platform, proper forum like IMO, let's raise it there and discuss and try to convince other countries. So at the Marine Environment Protection Committee, Australia raised the issue of managing the ballast water. So the first step is issue is raised by one of the members. Now, discussion takes place. That can vary to weeks. And if coming slowly to the question that you put at what majority, normally it is 2/3 upper limit. It could be less, 2/3 the member countries present there. 2/3 is 67 or 173. You calculate how many member countries. They vote in favor voluntarily. Yes, this is an important issue. आज we are not facing it, but अगर आज manage नहीं हुआ 10 साल में, we'll have to face the issue with the international ships coming to our water. So we will raise our hand. Yes. Thank you very much. Maybe some 10 odd countries. Sorry. No. We are not agreeing. Thank you very much. No questions asked. So with 2/3 country present, and they have said, yes, we want the convention to be developed. So it's a policy decision taken at IMO. For what? For development of a new convention. Policy decision by vote. Why voting is required? Because who are agreeing? The people sitting there in discussion, they are men and women from country. They are not in the individual capacity. They are representing a country. Sovereignty is supreme. So that's why voting is required. If ARI's management takes a decision, they are not going to take a vote. It's our country. Take it or leave it. It's a policy decision. Policy decision by vote is called a resolution. You would have heard of this word, which is nothing but a policy decision by vote. That we are going to have a new convention, in this case, the Ballast Water Management Convention. Now, that has been confirmed. What is the next logical step? Yes, somebody has to write ना कि वो पन्नों में क्या लिखा जाएगा, what will be the text of the convention. Then it is given to experts. There are subcommittees who assist the various committees at IMO. They are top-notch experts. They are technical people. They will be oceanographers, meteorologists, some nautical experts, people from classification societies or some cargo representatives, whatever. as the requirement may be, they will develop the first draft of the convention, which is likely. Are you with me till here?
Yes, sir.
When the first draft is prepared, a copy of the first draft is given to all the 173 member countries with a time frame that how it is given. IMO will send a notice or to, let's say, Indian embassy, please collect the draft, send someone, or they will send it by local courier. They will send it in the next bag to Delhi. They will send it to DG shipping for discussion. I mean, something like that. With the intent, IMO says this is the first draft. In your individual country with your experts, you have your brainstorming session. And we are going to meet, let's say, in 6 months' time to discuss this. The second session lasts for 4-5 weeks with discussion lasting up till 2 o'clock in the morning. Because every country will come up with suggestion, ये हटाइए, ये ऐड होना चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर ये होगा तो हमारा national interest will jeopardize, etc., etc. With all the changes, a second draft of the text of the convention is prepared. Again, a copy is sent to the countries. This time, not 6 months, when we are going to meet in 4 months' time, you come up with your suggestion. This time, the level will be less, but again, it is going to be more. I mean, it is going to be there. With the additional changes agreed upon, a third draft will be prepared. That back and forth exercise continues till the time 2/3 of the countries participating in all of this discussion, they raise their hand and vote in favor. Now the draft of the text looks fine. We are approving it. So that stage is called adoption. We, the member countries of IMO, adopt the text of the convention, meaning we have finalized the convention. Once the text of the forthcoming convention has been adopted, it becomes a legal document. मतलब nobody in the world can play around with it. अगर एक कॉमा भी चेंज करना है ना, तो वो इशू विल बी रेज, पॉलिसी डिसीजन टेक, हाँ भैया ये कॉमा चेंज करना पड़ेगा. इट विल बी द फर्स्ट अमेंडमेंट. तो कॉमा लगाए, यू कांट टच इट. क्यों करना है? एडॉप्शन से पहले. आर यू विथ मी?
Yes, sir.
Just to tell you,
Yes, sir.
this adoption is the stage which takes the maximum time. Just to tell you, at ILO, I mean, this is followed everywhere. The process of drafting the text of Maritime Labour Convention started in 2001. It was adopted in 2006. 5 साल लग गए थे. Countries were unable to come to a consensus. 2/3 मिल ही नहीं रहा था उनको. जब तक वो नहीं होगा तब तक भाई we have to keep trying. It is a legal document, but it is not a law. ये याद रखो. और making it a law, वो पढ़ा होगा कि it has to be signed by another system of checks and balances has been put. Just because you, the country, were involved actively in the discussion for adoption of the text does not mean you may want to implement it in your territory in future. Checks and balances. a final confirmation that the country has to sign for it. How many countries? What percentage of countries representing what percentage of gross tonnage? That is the total of ships registered there. That is decided by the legal committee of IMO. That depends on the issue. If it is a very safety related issue, they will say it has to be signed by 50% of the member countries to have a wider global coverage. Not more than 50%. Yeah, Ram Rajya Thonas. Some log पूर्ण agree करते हैं. And if it is not so important issue, the percentage will be less. For example, your ballast water management convention required signature by 35% of the member countries. That is signature. So now signature is individual country going to sign. Collectively, when the total number of countries have signed as it is required, it will be there in the text and how many percentage are required. So many countries have signed for it. The convention sorry. The convention, let me write it here, comes into force at that date onwards. The convention has officially become a law all around the world. By the way, from this to this, it can take 8-9 years or maybe 7 years. It's a very slow process. But now the point is, in the previous stage, we had discussed signature. Now you can relate the two where the whole thing fits. That was individual country. This is collectively at IMO. This is what simplified is your convention making process. Have I been able to answer your question? What percentage?
Yes, sir.
Before we take a break, I'll be continuing tomorrow. I've got 3 lectures. I want to show all the battles, that is March, April, May. March in the, I think, 25 Word document. One of them is phase 2 law MSA. That's half an hour, April and May batches. Not to worry. I just want to show you something. Can all of you see this?
Yes, sir.
In my own words, I have studied past 9 or 10 years DGS papers. See what was this up with regard to MSA. This is MSA only specific as per DGS. You don't have to look for carbon. This is about 16, 17 pages. Everything you'll get there to be able to answer the question. Although I will be touching upon these topics, small topics, tomorrow in the 3 lanes. This, along with all the other things also, April and May back, we're getting it in the next topic. But you should be aware there is enough with regard to the Merchant Shipping Act. Just this background was necessary. I will continue tomorrow. So, can we take a break? And I will
Yes, sir.
see all of you at 0900 hours tomorrow. And I would humbly request all of you